Hello, everyone. This is the June 21st Jupyter IPython dev meeting, and we'll get started with sort of in order. Whoever has anything that they want to bring up. First of all, I wanted to Peter, thanks for the graduation of or the proposal for Jupyter incubator graduation of the dashboards and the dashboard releases that you made. That's actually very exciting. So we'll be working on that, but I really appreciate it. You guys have done a terrific job on that front, and I encourage folks to comment and whatnot. I think Peter and his team have been really very diligent with the incubation process, and I think it's been an example of, I hope, the success of that model. So far, I think it has worked reasonably well with them, even if we haven't always been as fast as we should. So I really appreciate it. I don't know if you have any comments, anything that you wanted to discuss on that front, Peter.
No, just your feedback and comments. Welcome. It's just meant to be a discussion starter, so we'll see where it goes. And Gino is on the call, I think, here too. He submitted the declarative widgets also, so the two are out there in tandem at the moment. But
awesome. Gino, is there anything on that front that you wanted to discuss with the group?
Yeah, no, it's out there, and feedback our way, it's welcome. So take a look and let us know anything that you think.
Okay. Thank you so much. Carol, you had both stuff on last week and this week. I don't know if there's anything that you want to comment on. Whoa. All right. Sorry.
Probably the only thing is I'm going to try and talk with Eric Holscher tomorrow because he reached out. They're trying to submit a Sloan grant proposal for Read the Docs and supporting science better. So I will send an invite along to you and Brian and Jamie and whoever else has interest. But this is just sort of Matthias, this is just a very introductory thing just to get a sense. They want to get a sense of what we would like. So.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and that is about it.
Okay. Is your student crowd doing well? You have quite a team now over there at Cal Poly.
Yeah, I think so. I think they are enjoying themselves and starting to work together and working on Jupyter Lab stuff. So they're doing good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, let us know if we can help on anything on that front.
Sure.
And obviously they're invited to join and listen and participate in any way that they can and they want. They should feel always welcome.
Great.
Okay. I guess I only had a couple of things to mention. We'll be trying to finish the Jupyter Hub Mini Workshop planning. I posted a link on that on the Hackpad. I don't know if anyone has anything else of note on that front. Here will be. I think we'll try to do it. I looked into both BlueJeans and Zoom that have up to the Zoom account that we have here at LBL has up to 50 people by video. And the BlueJeans account has up to 100 people by video. So what I'm thinking is actually doing it that way, doing it either via Zoom or BlueJeans, and maybe we'll do some tests before then, because it might actually work better than trying to do a Hangout. That way, with one of these, everyone who joins into the call can actually type. And if we say we can have up to 50 people, 50 people live. Obviously, the recording afterwards can be watched by anyone. We lose live streaming, but what we gain instead is actually many more people simultaneously. So I was thinking that it might actually be a better solution than trying to do a weirdo hybrid between Google Hangouts and this and that. I was starting to feel that we had too many moving parts in the air. So I looked a little bit into our options, and I think BlueJeans or Zoom will probably work better. And then we continue to work on Jupyter Hub in education here at Berkeley with the ramp up of the data 8 stuff here. That's becoming sort of a significant effort. We'll have kind of more to report. And then I just wanted to put out there, we had another chat just randomly on other stuff. Jamie and I were talking with Brian, and we sort of came back to our never-ending communications questions. And Brian brought up again the idea, well, maybe we should just actually kill Gitter altogether and force ourselves to work on something like the Jupyter Help channel. And maybe potentially what I was thinking was maybe we should make, and we could even make a new org called Jupyter Channels or something like that, where literally every repo is just, you want to chat with someone, open a thread on it, ping them, and close the thread when you're done. And it might actually give us a combination. I know the JavaScript world does it that way, or at least parts of the Node.js community do it that way. And they say that it has actually helped them. It gives threaded conversations because basically you open a chat on anything and you put it, at least you say, I want to talk about this with you and you. And it's just typing a title, but it means that conversation is recorded. You can refer to it by URL later. You can tell us later, hey, Carol, Jason and I discussed this thing, and it turned out that you might be interested. Here's the URL. And Carol could go a month later and read it, whereas taking that action is completely impossible on Gitter. You can't tell anyone, go fish in the Gitter intertwined logs of a month ago. And so I don't know. We don't need to make a decision. I just wanted to put this back in people's brains for us to simmer for a few weeks. But I think that I was rereading a little bit of Carl Fogel's open source book a few days ago, and one of the points that he really stresses is the avoid private conversations as one of the key issues that is sort of a community killer in open source projects. And I think in practice, Gitter has the unintended effect in practice, even if it's not private in principle, of creating de facto private conversations just because of the velocity of them and the being buried in a hard to disentangle log. For all intents and purposes, a chat between two or a few people on Gitter that goes by quickly becomes a private discussion where people might have made decisions. And we haven't been successful at not doing that. And so maybe the only solution really is to just cut it off completely and force ourselves to say, yeah, use GitHub. If you're chatting with someone, actually being parked on a page, it refreshes almost at the speed of Gitter, maybe not identically, but almost as fast. And it does also have the advantage that if you get pinged on it, you get email. So you can respond by email. And if you decide to mute, you take yourself out of the conversation and that thread is gone from your inbox. I don't know, something to think about. We don't need to make a decision. I know this is contentious. Yuvi told us how in other organizations he's seen these discussions become very contentious. But I just wanted to bring that up. I think we're hurting our collective community memory and community engagement by our communications practices a little bit, and this might improve. So if anybody has some thoughts on it, if not, we don't need to make a decision right now, but I wanted to put it in people's brains.
I'm already not on Gitter.
And Jason brings up, how about getting rid of HackPad?
Is that a joke? I
Not
can't
really,
see your
because
face.
we just had a big data corruption when you were talking, like half of the HackPad is blue.
Really?
This happens.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon for it to happen. I've seen it happen probably 3 or 4 times now. Sylvan did it. I did it once where we're just typing along and all of a sudden half the HackPad goes missing and I'm all of a sudden typing in the headline or something. And I try to, Command Z in case it was me, and there's no undo.
There's no undo. Oh, that's terrible. Well, that's a pretty serious issue. Is there, I think a collective note-taking tool is useful. Would we go to
Google Docs, SageMath Cloud, or both
Etherpad. Etherpads.
HackPad has still this nice property that you can directly link to issues, and it does nice things with some integration with GitHub. But it has been becoming worse and worse with time.
Features take 10th priority over data corruption. I don't care about the features if we're losing data. Yeah, I'd only seen a few minor glitches in the past, but if you guys have experienced actual data loss, that's unacceptable. That's just, we can't have that. Sitting on top of a tool where we're taking daily notes that where we're losing data. So
Yep.
Etherpad, Google Docs, what else?
SageMath Cloud would be another possible option.
SageMath Cloud, just with basically markdown documents on shared projects on SageMath Cloud.
Yep.
Box has the collaborative editing too.
Oh, does it?
It's pretty nice. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Gino.
Box.net.
But can you give collaborative access to anyone who's not on Box?
That I don't know.
Yeah, because that would require. I mean, we have Box accounts at LBL in Berkeley, but not everyone has Box accounts, so we can't. But we can look into it. Okay, so Etherpad, Box, Sage, and Google. Okay, we'll do a review of the tools. We don't have to switch tomorrow. But it seems like, yeah, if we're losing data, that's just not acceptable. That just can't happen. Does any other tool that we should put in the mix for this? Okay.
I mean, there's always using the GitHub issue tracker, even though you lose the real-time synchronous collaboration. But if you want to go whole hog, you could do comments on issues.
Yeah, I sort of get the feeling that for actual note-taking, something like this, when you're kind of, I think for discussion, the idea of using I'm willing to go over to the issue tracker as a conversational thing, where you really are replying one after the other. But I think when a bunch of people are collectively like adding to a document at the same time, it really is useful. I mean, you're putting together an agenda for a meeting, you're putting together a set of notes on something. It's really handy to be able to type wherever you need to type at the same time. Okay. Oof. Nasty. All right. We'll look into them. Okay. That's all I had that I actually wanted to bring up. Anna is next. Anna, is there something that you want to discuss, or were these mostly just notes for the HackPad?
Just notes for the HackPad.
Okay.
You guys will see something in email soon about availability for the fall, so we can start to try and narrow down a couple weeks at work and so I can really start making progress on the venue search.
Yeah, excellent, wonderful. Thanks so much. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can. It's amazing how quickly the calendar creeps up on you.
Yeah, fall is around the corner.
Well, yesterday was the summer solstice.
I know. Yeah. Did you catch the moon? It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was incredible. And here in the Bay Area, we had a gorgeous sunset.
Yeah. Not a bad way to start summer, but yeah, already looking forward to fall.
Wonderful. Thank you, Anna. That's awesome. Stephen, do you have anything that you want to bring up with the group?
No, thanks for those that attended the tutorial last week, and thanks, Fernando, for sort of holding us to the fire on that one. I think that went well, and I appreciate any feedback from that. Just working with Darian this week on refactoring and test suites for the various notebook components in JupyterLab.
Great. No, I want to thank you all, because you guys actually took a lot of time to put that together, and you put a lot of thought into it, and I think it was very useful. And second, I want to encourage people to go over it, because it gives a good overview of how things are put together, and it actually helped me quite a bit. And so you guys put a lot of thought into it. I hope even the exercise of going through that was useful to help
absolutely.
You organize the mental model in your head, and I think it'll be very productive. But I encourage others to pitch in, watch it, and then provide feedback on the issue tracker on how the documentation ought to be structured and what wasn't clear and what wasn't explained enough, or if the conversation brings up technical questions and ideas, obviously bring them up. Darian, anything you want to bring up with the team?
Yeah, so one minor thing is I'd like a graphic for the console to put in JupyterLab the way we have for new notebook and new terminal, so that I could put that on the front page. I wasn't exactly sure who to ask about that, so I figured I'd bring it up at the meeting.
Yeah, Carol, do you think some of the folks over there who are more focused on design might take up that idea, that it would be something that would represent and the console, what we're calling the console, should have an icon that is a little bit different from the terminal, because one of them is really an actual terminal emulator, whereas the console is meant to, I don't know, it's like the old Qt console, right? It feels like a terminal, but it can have plots in line. So maybe something that kind of somehow captures the, I'm a console that can do graphics or something like that. I am a visual console or something like that.
Take the Qt console icon and replace the IPython logo by the other one.
Yeah, that could be a good starting point, but it might be a nice time to refresh it and bring it kind of give it a design refresh. What do you think, Carol? Do you think there's some bandwidth over there from the design folks?
I think there probably is. Probably the best thing to do would be have Darian email Brian and I, and then we can kind of slot in who can do it, and you could probably give us a little more specificity as to what exactly you're looking for, Darian.
Okay, great. Maybe to make it a little more open to other people's thoughts, I could post it as an issue on Jupyter Lab and then email with a link to the issue.
Yeah,
okay,
perfect. I'll post it as an issue and just ping Brian and Carol directly. I would, things like this that may be of interest to a broad audience, it never hurts to send an email to the list. Hey folks, anyone who's interested here, if you want to, we're beginning to get the foundations for the sort of the evolution of the Qt console. Pitch in over here on this issue, and then whoever cares. But you can definitely ping directly Carol and Brian. Okay, Matthias, you want to comment?
Still pushing on IPython 5.0. A couple of issues left. Documentation is missing, and that will likely be released before SciPy.
Okay. So IPython is the one code base that is sort of old and mature enough that we shouldn't be writing code without documentation as we went along. Are we not doing that?
The problem is like it's more writing the documentation on how to migrate, because we had so many changes that it's things that if you write it as we go, we have to anyway delete it.
Okay.
And there is like features we were not even aware existed in IPython that finally were not working for a few years and suddenly started working again and have bugs. Yeah.
So a little bit of is actual release time documentation. Okay. Okay. Well, a big release, there's always a little bit of that has to happen. But one thing that I want to make sure is that we really move towards a practice of documenting code as we go when it makes sense. And I see your point. Sometimes there are things that really need to happen at release time because you're kind of collecting the aggregate.
It's also that we have more dependency now, so we need to sometimes just write in our documentation, hey, this thing is possible, you have to go there.
Yeah, you have to use this other thing.
So it's not technically documentation that we know at the time where we integrate the code that we have to write. Mm-hmm. And it's just in the beta and RC cycle that people ask, hey, how do I do that? And well, you have to go to this library, and then you have to write it.
We have to explain that.
Yeah.
Okay. Jason, anything you want to bring up from the notes?
I think nothing beyond what Steve was, other than just mentioning that have a huge PR into widgets to transfer it over to TypeScript and building on the framework that the Jupyter Lab and the Phosphor projects are using for testing and things like that.
Okay.
Just FYI.
So that's 627.
Yeah, so Sylvan's reviewing it, and I'm finishing up.
Cool. All right.
You've reuse of the test stuff. That's still an ongoing thing that other people are going to want to be able to do and not have to copy and paste and stay tracked to everything. Is it more moved out now, or is it all tied together?
So I'm not sure exactly what your question is, but what I'm doing is copying over the testing infrastructure, so the directory structure, the dependencies, etc., and then I'll be moving the existing tests. There's not very many tests existing right now, but moving the existing IPyWidgets test into the new directory structure and things like that, so that there's consistency between Jupyter Lab and IPyWidgets for how testing is done and the directory structure and what dependencies we have, etc.
Well,
Does that answer the question?
Sort of. I mean, so for example, we've got Sylvan's widget cookie cutter now, and we've got to give people some testing assets so that they don't have to rock the entirety of the IPyWidgets or Jupyter Lab code base in order to be able to test their own widgets.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I don't know if the cookie cutter has testing built in, but if it doesn't,
It doesn't.
it doesn't. Okay. Yeah, we're happy to put it in the cookie cutter. I mean, we're hammering on it pretty heavily with Phosphor and Jupyter Lab, and then hopefully soon with IPyWidgets to sort of prove out the infrastructure, and then we could put it in the cookie cutter. That'd be a good idea.
Be awesome.
That's it.
Okay. Anyone else? Anything that might have come up during conversation? Any other thoughts? I wanted to congratulate Jamie. She gave her first Project Jupyter talk at the NSF Western Big Data Hub.
West Big Data Innovation Hub.
West
Workshop.
God, I can never remember the name of that thing.
Yeah, storytelling with data in LA.
Any good feedback from that conference?
Yeah, so I would say that so there were about 100 people at the workshop live, and then they also live streamed it. So there were 100 people there and about 700 people live streaming the workshop. About a third of the live audience had heard of or had used Jupyter. And then a handful of people approached me after the talk and said, wow, I've been using Jupyter or IPython notebooks for a long time, but I didn't know that it did all this other stuff. So I presented on NBViewer and some of the other projects that run under the Jupyter umbrella. And yeah, people were excited about the capabilities and then the development that's happening with Jupyter Lab and the dashboards for sure. People love their dashboards. So,
awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, Peter and Gino for giving us that. This is an audience. I mean, this is probably mostly an audience of NSF people who are planning to apply for NSF big data grants, right? Was that your sense?
You know, actually, the folks in the room were mostly people doing some sort of data analytics or data science in LA. So many of the talks were local.
Oh, really?
There was two data journalists. There was the chief data officer for LA. Talking about some of the mapping that they were doing. So it was actually a fairly local conference.
Oh, interesting.
And a way to generate interest in data science that's happening in LA.
Okay.
And a guy from New York who does some really fun stuff. And but for the most part, it was fairly. Because
ultimately, this is an NSF program that doesn't actually have a huge amount of money to fund anything directly. It's more to fund activities for other people to then apply for new grants.
Yeah.
But no, it's great that they were doing something kind of with the local community.
Yeah, and I think they did a great job bringing people together.
Okay. Good. Yeah. Meredith is fantastic.
Yeah.
No end of energy and talent. The executive director is here at Berkeley. She's very good. All right, folks. We'll see you all on Friday for the Jupyter Lab meeting for those who can join, and then next Tuesday again, unless anybody has any last comments. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Happy summer.